As a fat, I low-key have some beef with skinny people sometimes.
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Katie, and for those of you who don't know me, I used to weigh 360 pounds, and I've lost 180 pounds and kept it off for years now. And on this channel, we will discuss weight loss, weight maintenance, nonsense I see online about body positivity and fat acceptance, my experiences with all of that, and well, anything else I feel like talking about. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and let's get into today's video. So today I have a TikTok from another new friend to the channel, as she goes by on social media, Michelle Platty. And she has some beef evidently with some skinny people. So I figure we'll go ahead and watch this TikTok and I'll give you my reaction along the way. And be sure to stick around to the end for a bonus story time.
As a fat, I low-key have some beef with skinny people sometimes. Let's talk about it. My personal least favorite things about being fat.
Is it the potential health complications? I'm guessing probably not. I mean, I know I'm not a gambling woman, but if I were going to place a bet on this, I'm guessing she's not going to talk about the health complications.
Is definitely how skinny people see fat people.
Dang, I guess I should have placed that bet. Because it seems like within this movement, a lot of times when I hear them talk about the downsides of being fat, it's always in how people are treating them. It's always the social implications. They never address the health complications and the physical limitations that can come with being fat. But let's see what else she has to say.
But what I really want to talk about that I feel like I haven't talked on yet, how skinny people see body positivity. Let's be clear, I'm obviously not referring to all skinny people, but something I will say that I've just never understood why skinny people have so much beef with is body positivity.
Wow, it's almost like I was summoned, because that is something I talk about a lot on this channel. Body positivity, fat acceptance, the toxic side that I saw as a participant, and now from the perspective of having lost weight, just how toxic I believe it can all be. So I can definitely tell you some of the issues that I have within body positivity and fat acceptance, that's for sure. And let me be clear, despite my criticisms of these movements, there are definitely things within body positivity specifically that I don't have an issue with whatsoever. The idea that you should love yourself, I think it's fabulous. I think it's wonderful. I do think it is a little unrealistic sometimes, and I think we should kind of maybe try to be a little bit more neutral about it. But the notion that you should be kind to yourself and you should love yourself and you should take care of yourself, those are all wonderful things, and I don't have an issue with them. But that's the issue with body positivity for me, is it's like an onion. The outer layers that I was exposed to that drew me to the movement were to love yourself and just accept yourself. But then once you start to peel back those layers like an onion, you'll find at its core is always fat acceptance. And then once we cross over into fat acceptance, now we're dealing with ideas like you can't change your body size, losing weight is fat phobic, whatever they don't like they'll deem to be fat phobic, or whatever other label they want to throw on it. And then they create an us versus them mentality, when many people joined up body positivity just looking to love themselves. That was personally what drew me in. But as I started peeling back those layers of the onion, and I got all the way to fat acceptance, I realized they were trying to tell me things that just did not make sense with what I could see and observe around me. And then it definitely didn't make sense as I began to lose weight and realize that, yes, I was able to change my body size and I didn't have to go to these extremes to do so, which is something that I had heard repeatedly within body positivity and fat acceptance, that if I were to try to lose weight, that I would essentially just become like them, another fitness girl or another fitness person who was only worried about going to the gym and tracking every calorie to perfection, all of those things that there was never any middle ground that was ever presented anywhere, that you didn't have to go to extremes, but you could still take care of yourself. And that was something I didn't even really look at until I was no longer in the movement. While I was in body positivity, I definitely didn't view it that way, because quite frankly, that was my only frame of reference. That was what I chose to consume and surround myself with a lot. That was the online community that I had built. And so once I was able to step outside of that, I was able to see through a much more clearer lens and realize that not everything that they were saying was good, and that there are valid criticisms that I have with that movement. And especially once we get to the fat acceptance movement, I have a lot of criticisms with those movements. So at least for me, that's why I have such an issue. And then there's another aspect of body positivity, one that I will hear people who have left the movement discuss, and people who maybe aren't in online spaces will talk about as well. But many times within the online spaces of body positivity, they don't talk about it. I mean, at least not anymore. Individuals who have scars, burns, birthmarks, maybe they have amputations, or just other qualities that make them unique in appearance. Those individuals that fell outside of the quote-unquote beauty standard, I never hear them talked about at all in body positivity in online spaces anymore. Now all I ever hear is how body positivity was created for fat women, specifically fat queer women of color. They never talk about anyone else who might be in a quote-unquote marginalized body. And the thing about that is that is how many of us were actually introduced to body positivity in the mainstream. But now when we talk about body positivity, specifically online body positivity, it's always a cover for fat acceptance. Quite frankly, I think that's where this movement has lost a lot of people. I think a lot of people were very much on board with the idea of loving yourself. But then once you peel back those layers and you find fat acceptance, that really gave a lot of people a lot of pause. So at least from my perspective, watching the evolution of body positivity as it's entered the mainstream and what it's become now, I have to think that that has something to do with it.
Because I'm just like, what? The whole concept of glorifying obesity has always extremely pissed me off because nobody fucking does that. Nobody does that.
Are we sure that no one does that?
Hey, what you watching?
I have never seen obesity be glorified.
Okay, so it makes me wonder how much she actually looks at body positivity online, because also,
just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy, and I am 100% glorifying obesity, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy, and I am 100% glorifying obesity, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just a reminder that I am very fat and very sexy, and I am 100% glorifying obesity, and there's nothing you can do.
And look, I get it that I'm sure some of these were satirical, and I get it that some of these may even be reactionary to comments that some of these individuals may have received. But this is how they chose to respond.
In any way, like really, I try to think hard about this, and I try to be like, maybe, no, show me who is glorifying obesity.
Okay, so not only does she disagree with the notion of glorifying obesity even being a thing, but she can't even think of an example of it. So, I don't know, let's all get on the same page here and we'll check out the meaning of what glorify actually means. This is according to the Cambridge Dictionary, and it does have two definitions, so let's check out the first one here. It says to praise and honor God or a person. Okay, fair. I could see how that's not really applicable to this particular situation, but let's go ahead and check out the second definition. To describe or represent something in a way that makes it seem better or more important than it really is. Yeah, I gotta say, that second definition really does kind of hit the nail on the head. Just like I stated at the beginning of the video, if they do talk about the negative implications about being fat, they only ever talk about the social implications. They never talk about the effects on your health. I know at 360 pounds, I couldn't tie my own shoes. I was having trouble fitting behind the steering wheel of my car. I was out of breath just walking around my house, walking to get the mail. If I was walking up an incline or going up the stairs, I thought I was going to pass out because I had given myself obesity-induced asthma. I also had PCOS, prediabetes, hypertension, and I was also down the path for a whole bunch of other medical complications. And that was something that I came across time and time again when I was a participant in body positivity. If anybody, myself included, tried to adopt healthier habits that were going to lead to weight loss, you'd get dogpiled on. And when it comes to body positivity, let's look at some of the content creators with larger platforms and how they've portrayed themselves. First, we have Tess Holliday, who spent the last 10 years or so trying to tell everyone how glamorous it was and beautiful it was, and F your beauty standards, and you can be all of these things even if you're fat.
This is just your reminder that beauty standards are completely made up. You control the narrative. You can be the most gorgeous, gorgeous girly, most gorgeous, gorgeous they, them in the entire world, because everything is fiction. Everything is made up. What matters is your reality. So wear what you want, do what you want, and be the most gorgeous girl in the world.
Taking his shoes off. No, this is really hard.
She was definitely trying to portray it as better than it is in many cases. And then we have Anna O'Brien, or Glitter and Lasers, and she portrayed herself as being healthy and happy and confident, and now a fitness queen and so many other things. When in reality, she's going through a lot of medical things right now and just had surgery. And so, at least it seemed for a very long time, these individuals were downplaying the negative sides of being fat while talking about how wonderful it was, which to me seems like they're trying to portray it as better than it actually is. Because if you're not going to be honest with yourself or with your audience, and you're just trying to portray how wonderful everything is all the time, and so based off of this definition, it is glorifying obesity. It's trying to portray it as better than it actually is. Just for example, look at Tess Holliday. Her message quickly went from, you can be beautiful even if you're fat, to you can be healthy even if you're 300 pounds. And that's where I think this movement really has lost a lot of people over the years, as they have tried to assert more and more that you can be healthy and be fat. And while I'm not going to put out a blanket statement and say that every fat person is unhealthy, I'm not going to ignore the risks that do go along with being obese. That is for sure. And so we can find a middle ground somewhere in the middle. But with body positivity and fat acceptance, or health at every size, any of those movements, there is no middle ground. It is, you must accept everything about these movements. And look, if you're not comfortable in saying that these movements glorify obesity, at the very least, I think we can all admit they're trying to normalize obesity. And given the health risks that we know that come along with being obese, why on earth would we want to normalize this, let alone glorify it? Because oftentimes what I will hear people within these movements say is that I have never heard anyone say they were glorifying obesity, because they didn't use those actual words. They didn't say, here I am glorifying obesity, unless you want to count the ones that I know were clearly satirical. But let's go ahead and take those out of the equation, and they can hide behind this notion of plausible deniability. Nobody has said those words, so therefore it doesn't exist. Where in many cases they really are trying to represent and portray this as something better than it actually is.
Fat person going on TikTok and showing what I eat in a day is not glorifying obesity. Fat person who's not trying to lose weight existing is not glorifying obesity.
Okay, yeah, those things aren't glorifying obesity, but to pretend like those other elements within this movement don't exist, again, it's her version of plausible deniability. Well, I haven't seen it, so therefore it doesn't exist. I've never heard people use these words, so therefore it doesn't exist.
Actually, coming from the specific skinny people who think glorifying obesity is a thing.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and include myself in that.
You know you're such a dick to fat people. Why the fuck would people want to be fat?
Okay, wow, that definitely took a turn and is presumptive of an entire group of individuals. Wow, okay. Let me just say I don't ever condone being a dick to someone. I mean, unless they have it coming. I guess there are some exceptions, but I mean, like, even then, it takes a lot to push me towards any of that. I just, wow. And I gotta say, I'm always taken a bit aback whenever I hear it coming from this community. because I know that body positivity and fat acceptance, one of the big things they're always trying to push for is they just wanted to be treated as humans and to be seen for who they are, that they don't want to be some fat stereotype. All of these things, they don't want to be lumped together as some group and some stereotype, that they're all individuals and they should all be accepted for who they are. But then they'll turn around and do that to an entire group that they don't like just so they can dismiss them. And I've seen this be done repeatedly, whether it's former fat people who have lost weight, people who were formerly in the body positivity community and now make weight loss content, anyone who's got a dissenting opinion with them, anything. I mean, I've seen it repeatedly with this group now, and it's hard not to notice that the thing that they're asking for, they're not willing to give to other people. Just always takes me aback every time.
Why would we want to be fat? People are fat for a multitude of reasons.
Yes, I'm aware that there are a multitude of reasons, and I'm aware that there's a lot of nuance to this. But the number one reason why people are fat is because of overconsumption. Plain and simple. Calories in, calories out. And again, I understand there's a lot of nuance to it. I understand that it's not so simple as just eat this set number and you'll look like this. I fully understand that. So let's not ignore the elephant in the room, where overconsumption is what leads the vast majority of people to be fat.
Just shut the fuck up, you know? Like, if you think that it is such an inherently bad thing for us as human beings, just because we're larger, to love and accept the bodies that we're currently in.
Okay, but that's not all what body positivity is. If it really were just love yourself as you are and accept yourself as you are, I don't think too many people would have an issue with it. Really don't. But as I stated, there's a lot more to it. When you peel back the layers to it, you'll always find fat acceptance. And fat acceptance will be along to tell you that you're fat phobic if you want to lose weight, or if you want to go to the gym, or track what you eat, and so many other things. So it's not just love yourself and accept yourself. Those concepts are not what I have an issue with when it comes to body positivity and fat acceptance. Not even close. So it seems like she is just purposefully choosing to ignore the criticisms that those of us have said about these movements, so that way she can just try to make this point that it's about people loving themselves and accepting themselves, when I know from my personal experience it's about so much more than that.
I, have to ask you, what is it about yourself that you hate that much?
Wow, and again, assuming people's motivations, why they are no longer in the movement, or why they have left body positivity, or just don't support it to begin with, as opposed to actually listening to the criticisms that many of us who have left have stated repeatedly about these movements. And I'm just having a hard time believing that she's not aware of these criticisms, that she's not aware of what her own movement is doing to people when they choose to leave body positivity. I mean, just recently, how many creators have we seen be upset at other creators because they have switched up their style of content? I mean, this is something that is repeatedly happening within their community. So I'm having a hard time believing that she is not aware of it, and she just is choosing to focus on loving herself and accepting herself. And if she is, then I will stand corrected. And then the other perspective that I have from that is, I did not want to accept myself at 360 pounds. Love myself? Absolutely. But accept myself and believe that I couldn't change? Yeah, that was just a bridge too far for me. Because for many people, myself included, often acceptance can lead to permission. And I did not want to give myself permission to stay at that size, knowing what I was going through at that size. I wanted to get to a point where I could tie my shoes again, where I could walk without being in pain or out of breath, where I could fit behind the steering wheel of my own car without worrying I was accidentally going to hit the horn. And yes, that happened numerous times when I was getting in and out of my car at 360 pounds. I wanted all of those things, and I knew that if I accepted myself as I was at 360 pounds, I was going to take that as permission. So I understand where people don't always want to accept themselves, because they see that as an opportunity to change and grow and try to do better. It doesn't mean that you hate yourself. That's the biggest issue that I have with all of that, is that it always comes back to, well, if you're doing all of these things, then you must hate yourself. I've never hated myself. And I've said it numerous times, and I'll say it again, how proud I am of this woman right here for making the decision to lead me to where I am right now. So I will forever and always be grateful of this woman, because I was able at 360 pounds to see a different life for myself and to see it through. So no, it does not come from a place of hatred. It comes from the ultimate act of self-love. Loving yourself enough to want to better yourself and wanting to try a different path than what you are used to. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from this notion of hating yourself.
That you feel the need to like kind of take it out on other people.
And it's not about taking it out on other people. It's about trying to better yourself. And it's not even issues with these individual creators by any stretch. It's issues that I personally have with these movements, the messages that they are trying to spread, and the way that I've seen it enter into social media and now trickling into our mainstream media. That's my issue. That's the thing. This is not about taking it out on individuals. This is about pointing out the flaws that I personally see and many others see within these movements, and many of the negative effects that can come along with this.
You know, honestly, just think that having beef with people trying to like love themselves is fucking weird as hell.
Okay, but that's the thing. Loving yourself is going to look very different to a lot of different people. And yes, we're going to keep it YouTube safe when we're talking about loving ourselves right here. So at least myself, when I talk about loving myself, that means taking care of myself. And yes, that might mean doing my nails or doing my makeup or my hair or what clothes I wear. But also it's going to mean taking walks, being mindful of what I eat, making sure I get enough sleep, making sure I drink enough water, making sure that I get some sunshine throughout the day. Basically just kind of like a complicated house plant or something. But in all seriousness, that's all very important to me as far as loving myself. I have to take care of myself. And that's how I show myself love, is by taking care of myself and investing in myself. And it can manifest in a multitude of ways. You can read a book, you can listen to music, you can relax in a bath. There's so many ways that you can do this form of self-care. But at the end of the day, loving yourself should always include something that will help to take care of yourself. And we really need to be moving past the notion of self-care is only for mental health. Self-care is for all parts of your health, all aspects of who you are. And I understand that we're going to come from it in different perspectives, that's for sure. But if somebody is placing a lot of importance on their health and fitness, their version of loving themselves is going to look vastly different than somebody who doesn't.
Saying that people are glorifying obesity for actually just existing in a bigger body and like loving themselves and, you know, not being like, oh my god, I gotta go to the gym right now every 5 seconds is so fucking weird.
Okay, but again, based off of the very definition of glorifying, if you're only going to talk about how wonderful it is to be fat and not talk about the negative side of things, except the social aspects that they want everyone else to change, I hate to break it to her, but it really does sound like they're glorifying obesity. And then did you notice how she portrayed the other side to this? That you must be thinking about going to the gym every 5 seconds? My goodness, that is actually quite comical to me. I haven't had a gym membership in years. My oldest was a baby and I was pregnant with my youngest. Got membership to the Y so I could take the kids for swim lessons. That was the last time I had a gym membership of any fashion, because I figured out I was able to stay fit and active without a gym, and I quite honestly prefer it. So I just find it very comical, because this is always the dichotomy that I hear within body positivity or fat acceptance, that you must either love yourself and accept yourself as you are, or you're going to be utterly obsessed with going to the gym. Every single thing that you put in your mouth, you'll probably develop an ED. It's always this extreme version, one way or another. And they never talk about the middle ground, especially not those of us who have lost weight and did not go to any of those extremes. They just conveniently ignore all of those criticisms. So yeah, if you're just only going to ever focus on what's so positive and wonderful about it, about being fat, and no, not all of us are worried about going to the gym every 5 seconds.
I actually venture to say that glorifying obesity is not a real thing at all. I personally have never seen it, so.
Well, there you have it. She has not personally seen it, so therefore, evidently, it just must not exist. Where, quite frankly, I have seen so many creators within this very movement try to sell you on how wonderful it is to be fat, and the only thing that's terrible about it is how other people treat you. So, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you believe that the body positivity movement is glorifying obesity? Or do you believe that it's a movement for people to just love themselves and accept themselves for who they are? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious, and I really do love reading all of your comments. Thanks for sticking around for bonus story time. So since my last video, I've actually competed in 2 more races. And today I had a 5K that I just got home from. And then last weekend I had my very first 8K, which is actually 4.97 miles. And then the 5K, that's 3.1 miles. So, and oh my goodness, I still can't believe that I'm doing these races. I can't believe how much I enjoy these races. And I still can't believe that I completed an 8K. Oh my goodness. So I wanted to share with you the medal that I got from my 8K right here. See if we can hold that up so you can get a nice view. There we go. And it's actually engraved on the back and everything, because this is part of the marathon race series in my city. So it's like a really big deal. It's probably honestly the largest race that I have been to. There were over 1,400 of us doing it. And what was really cool is when I filled out the entry form for this race, there was actually a section you could fill in if this was your first race and if you had like a story you wanted to share. So I did talk about my ankle and the injury, the surgery, the rehab, learning how to walk again and all of that. But I also did discuss losing 180 pounds. And I actually had people from the marathon actually call me and ask if I'd be willing to do interviews with the press. So I did get an article in a local-ish paper. Cleveland's local enough. I'll count it. I mean, we're kind of like their little brother here, so it's fine. But then I was featured in local press as well, including my friends over at 330 to Go. So that was really fun, and I got to share my story with a lot of people. And what's really funny now is I actually have a lot of people at these races that will recognize me from doing these interviews or being featured on some of these pages. And now I have a whole bunch of people that'll come up and talk to me, which is really cool, because when I just started doing these races last year, I knew not a single soul at any of these races. And I always felt maybe a little out of place and just kind of didn't know what to do, didn't know if I belonged there, even though, I mean, I knew I belonged there, but it's just been really cool to see the community that's involved there, and just so much fun. And I actually ran into a couple of old poker buddies from, gosh, years ago, at least 15 years ago now at this point. And I'll be seeing them again at the 10K that I'll be doing in August. So my goodness, just so much fun. And at the race today, I did not get any medals because they were only giving those out to the top finishers. So that makes this one right here even more of a rare unicorn, because I never thought I'd get a medal for placing. So definitely absolutely adore that medal. So no medal today, but that's okay. I did get my fancy t-shirt. We always get race t-shirts. Ta-da! Super fancy. And well, to be fair, I accidentally got the wrong size, so it's going to be really big and loose and comfy. So yay, there's that. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. I just enjoy these races so much. I enjoy the community that I found with all of this. Getting to see so much of my city on foot in ways that I probably wouldn't otherwise. And just knowing that like so many of these races that I'm doing, they're fundraisers for local things. Like the one that I did today, that was for a local high school and their athletic department. So it's just really cool to see the community come together, and for the community to be doing these wonderful things that are then helping the community even further. So my goodness, every single time I do one of these races, I'm so happy. I love it. And the whole runner's high thing, even though I don't run, I gotta say, it is a real thing. It really is. So again, if you have an opportunity to do one of these races and you feel you could complete it, but you're just maybe on the fence and not sure if you'd enjoy it, let me be the first to tell you, just do it. Oh my goodness, don't even think twice. Just go and do it and have fun. Get yourself a nice playlist, throw some headphones on, and just go enjoy a beautiful morning. Or at least that's the way I look at it. I throw my headphones on, listen to some 90s dance music, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the fact that the streets are closed, so that way I don't have to worry about getting run over by a car. And then I can just go and do my thing. And it's so fun. Just absolutely so fun. So I thank you for sticking around for a bonus story time, and I'm sure I'll have some more stories as the season goes on. That is where we will leave things today. I thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye! It's Pokey time! To be fair, Pokey always thinks it's Pokey time. Yeah, you're not wrong though, are you? It is always Pokey time. Yes, hi beautiful. I swear, she does love me, even though she always tries to eat me. Okay. Oh. Bye!